How is it possible that one question leads to this? Hey, should we go into town to pick up some groceries later? So if you've ever thought,
Wow, that escalated fast.
then this video is for you. Because it's usually not about what you said. When an autistic person shuts down or melts down, it's almost never about the last thing you said. And that's where most supporters get it wrong, even when they're trying to help. I'm not autistic, but I'm married to someone who is. And I've learned over time that it's not really about being too sensitive, dramatic, or difficult. It's about everything that was already happening before that moment. So today I want to show you 3 really common small things that don't really feel small to an autistic nervous system. And once you see them, you'll understand better why that reaction actually made sense and what you can do to help instead. So first, let's clear up one big myth. Meltdowns and shutdowns are almost never about one moment. It's not about one sentence you said or one little action that you did. It's dozens of small things stacking up over time. Sleep issues, pain, sensory input, stress, or a buildup of emotions. And then that last thing happens. It's not the actual cause of the meltdown or shutdown. It's just the final straw. That straw that broke the camel's back. And the bridge that the camel's on. And flooded the whole river.
Pretty sure that made absolutely no sense.
At least that's how I think about it. It's like we all have a cup. For a lot of people, sleep gives them a reset. So when we wake up, we have an emptier cup. That means we have more room to handle stress. But many autistic people don't get that reset. They have a lot more daily stressors, and sleep is already not very restorative for them. So the cup starts the day fuller, which means it takes a lot less for it to overflow. The hard part? None of this is visible. There's no warning light or progress bar floating over someone's head.
Sounds like a video game. I love video games and corn dogs.
So from the outside, it can look like that reaction came from nowhere, but it didn't. So let me show you 3 things that actually seem small, but add a ton of stress for an autistic nervous system. And if you're neurodivergent, we've got a free download that helps you track early warning signs and patterns. And it can also help explain this to other people. Links in the description. So let's start with the one that trips a lot of people up the most, because it looks completely harmless. 3 small things that aren't so small. Hey, quick question. Interruptions. You're not being rude. You're not trying to bother anyone. It's just a little
Interruption.
Here's what most people don't realize. When an autistic or ADHD person finally gets focused, that didn't just randomly happen. Getting started already took effort. Holding the steps in their head took effort. And staying regulated while doing it also took
Corn dogs.
effort.
Dang it.
So when you say, hey, quick question, their brain doesn't just pause the task. It's holding it in their working memory, every step and every unfinished part, while trying to switch into social mode. We talk about executive function challenges in other videos, and all of this is linked to executive function. So that switch, that's where things start to fall apart. Because interruptions aren't just about a person talking to you. They can be anything that jolts you out of that headspace. A sudden sound, a movement in your periphery, an unexpected request, or the internal frustration of trying to keep a multi-step task organized in your head while all your brain wants to think about is
Corn dogs. Preach.
So now on top of the task itself, your brain is also trying to remember where it was, hold on to what's unfinished, estimate how long everything will take, and shift into a completely different kind of thinking. And that's a lot to ask of a nervous system that's already working harder just to stay regulated. So that quick question, it's not just a question, it's a full context switch. And here's another thing that escalates fast. But buddy, I already told you, that timing doesn't work for me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I forgot. Uh, I can't remember very well right now.
Well, this is important and we need to figure it out.
Just my head is spinning really bad right now. So I need a break.
But we haven't figured this out yet.
I need a break.
When are we going to figure this out? Expecting resolution right now. If you're not autistic, you might think these.
Let's clear this up, dude.
Let's just talk it out.
Let's fix it right now so we can move on.
Sound totally reasonable, right? But for many autistic people, right now is the worst possible time. Because when emotions are high, a neurodivergent brain isn't processing meaning, it's trying to stay regulated.
AKA not explode.
And that can be true for neurotypical brains when there's lots of stress too. But remember, autistic brains are always under more stress all the time. So while you're looking for resolution, an autistic nervous system is still in survival mode. So that means slower processing, difficulty finding words, difficulty sorting thoughts, and very little access to thinking of the other person's perspective. So when someone says,
Just say sorry.
or we need to talk about this, or
Why can't you just explain it?
what they're really hearing is,
Yeah, you go ahead and keep on pushing yourself. Don't say I didn't warn you.
and that's when resistance shows up. It's not because they don't care, they're trying to avoid responsibility. It's because they literally can't think clearly yet.
And maybe because we're trying to avoid responsibility.
A lot of outdated research used to label this as a lack of empathy, but now we know this is actually a mismatch of expectations, especially with different processing time. Many autistic people need time to calm their nervous system, time to replay the interaction, and time to understand how they actually feel. And that can take hours, sometimes even days.
Or years.
So when they say,
I can't talk right now.
that's not about avoiding the talk, it's about them establishing a boundary. An important one, because forcing a resolution too early doesn't solve the problem. It's actually going to make things worse. And very often, the apology or the repair will come later.
Or never. I'm so sorry, Debbie.
Once they're calmer and ready. And even when you do everything right, you give them space, you stop pushing for answers, you back off, things can still come apart. And that's usually because of one last thing people didn't see coming. Hey, Chris, it's time to go. Not giving time and space to transition. And here's what usually shows up after everything we've already talked about. By this point, it's been a long day. That cup is already close to full.
It might even be spilling over a little bit and getting the table wet.
They've handled interruptions. They've pushed through conversations. They've tried to stay regulated longer than their system wanted to. From the outside, though, it doesn't always look like that. They seem fine. So you keep your plans, the schedule keeps moving, and then the next thing is about to happen. You might be thinking,
We already talked about this.
he knew this was coming.
Come on, it's time to go.
And logically, yes, that makes total sense. But for many autistic people, switching between these mental modes isn't quick or automatic, especially when their energy is already low. So going from work mode to home mode, quiet to noisy, rest to action, focus solo time to social time, like when you pop in with that quick question, all of that takes real effort for autistic brains and nervous systems. So when that transition gets rushed, or when there's no buffer at all, the system doesn't have a chance to reset. So instead of adjusting, it overloads. That's why things like being asked questions the moment they walk in the door, being expected to jump straight into the next task, or being pushed to attend something without recovery time can lead to irritation, shutdown, or a big emotional reaction that might feel out of proportion. It's not about not wanting to do the thing. It's about being asked to switch gears when there's nothing left in your tank.
And maybe not wanting to do the thing.
So it might look inflexible, but it's actually about challenges switching gears when they're already dysregulated or overwhelmed. And when guilt gets layered on top of that,
I don't want to disappoint anyone.
their system gets pushed even harder. And that's usually the moment when everything spills over. So what can you do to be a better supporter of your autistic buddy? What to try instead? Start by paying attention. If they seem tense or overwhelmed, just pause. Don't ask questions, don't touch, and don't hover. Just let them know that you see them and want to give them space. So that might sound like, I'm here if you need me.
Okay, thank you.
And then give them time, quiet, and patience. And start to notice patterns, especially if they've been masking or they just learned that they're autistic. You might only see the crash, or the emotions when the mask slips or they're too tired to keep it up. Another thing that helped us, creating shared language. Simple words or phrases that signal things without a full explanation. If you've watched our videos, you probably know Chris's favorite.
Shy. Shy. Shy.
It's a word he likes for the feel of it, but it also can mean,
I can't talk right now. I need space. I need quiet.
and another one for us.
I need a break.
That means no questions. Time to himself, check in on him later, clear, simple communication for when his brain has hit its limit. If you build those first, then communication will still be clear when the overwhelm comes. And keep paying attention. Notice patterns. Adjust things in your lives together. Learn more about each other. Because at the end of the day, you're a team. So did you cause the meltdown? Maybe, maybe not. It actually doesn't matter. But here's the real question to ask yourself. What could I try differently next time? Small steps can make a big difference in improving your communication, and so can learning more about neurodivergence. You're here in the right spot for all of that, right here at AuDHD.
I need to get a little touch up to these curls. We're late. Let's get a move on. These curls aren't going to curl themselves. Hey, Debbie, you want to run your fingers through my hair?